Hi, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, I'm Ali and I'm a professional makeup artist. If you've watched my videos before, thank you for coming back. So currently in the UK, we are still on a version of lockdown, which I'm not gonna lie, I found it really hard. I live alone, which I thought would have prepped me well for being alone, because I am alone a lot of the time. But it's been so weird. And being a makeup artist, my job involves traveling around a lot, which I can't do, meeting lots and lots of different people, which I can't do. And I don't know if anyone else has found this, but it has been a living hell trying to reschedule people's bookings, people cancelling, people being just having no level of understanding that this is my livelihood, and it's been stressful to a point where I've questioned whether I even want my job back after this is over, but I'm sure I will work through that and get over it. And I was thinking about it, and actually what's making me sad is that I'm not doing makeup at the moment. What do I miss the most? Weddings. I work at around 60-ish weddings per year. And the reason that I got into bridal makeup is because I love that style of makeup so much. It's everything I love about makeup. It's all very pretty. It's all about fine details. How perfect can you make someone's eyeliner? How, you know, beautifully can you do someone's lip? It's just everything that I enjoy about makeup. It's all the like beautiful hair, and my hair today, let's not even go there, it's not gonna lie, it's been in braids for like 2 days. Actually, when I used to model like a few years ago, I would do my hair like this a lot, but I would just do it much better. I wasn't thinking and just braided it to keep it out of my way. I'm still kind of on a bit of a journey with my hair and growing my hair, so I quite often braid it just to keep it kind of safe, I guess, when I'm sleeping and stuff. But yeah, I might actually do it a bit better next time, but never mind. I love all the pretty bridal hairstyles. It just all really appeals to me in terms of the style of makeup that I love to do for clients. And yeah, because I've been feeling really sad, I haven't really been up to filming anything, which is fine. There is no pressure to be productive during lockdown, quarantine, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I've needed some time to like have a bit of headspace, especially because rescheduling people has been so difficult. It's just, yeah, I never want to go through this again. But yeah, I thought I actually really miss being at weddings, so I would film a bridal makeup tutorial. So my top tips for booking a makeup artist. I could actually do a much longer video about this if anyone's interested, so leave me a comment or send me a message if you'd like to know more, or if you'd like to see me film more about this. But my top tips, so pick somebody whose style you love. I also work as a booking agent for other artists. I have my own agency, and if I'm looking to work with an artist who I've not worked with before, I look at them and I think, would I be excited to have my hair and makeup done by them? If the answer is yes, then I'll be able to find clients for them. So yeah, go with someone whose work you look at and you think, gorgeous. When I'm looking at makeup artist portfolios, it's really important to me like to see some beautiful professional shots, not just from styled shoots, from photo shoots, but from people's weddings. Like, Blue is here. You gonna say hey? That was a big sneeze you did. You did a big sneeze. Yeah. The kitties are the real winners of this lockdown because they are so clingy and so needy, and they just think it's great that we get to spend all day every day together, so at least someone's happy. But yeah, if someone has a mixture of just pictures they've taken of clients on their phone as well as professional pictures actually at real life weddings, that kind of gives me a really good idea about how much I like someone's work. I think if your work looks good on a kind of rubbish phone camera and it looks really great in a professional wedding shot from someone's wedding day, that's a sign that I'm really gonna like their work. So yeah, it actually, when I trained, I was told, look, just have a portfolio full of beautiful professional pictures. Actually, for me, I like to see some kind of, you know, DIY little camera phone pictures. There's not going to be, even if they used a little bit of Facetune or whatever, which is a bit naughty, but they're not going to be edited to the extent that a professional picture sometimes is. And yeah, and I love to see pictures of kind of brides on their wedding day. You know, how does the hair and makeup look, especially late into the evening? Is it still holding up like pretty well? That's really helpful to me, so I think it would be helpful to you too. And then in terms of choosing someone and going by price, you will notice that there is a kind of average price for whatever area you live in. So I'm based in the southwest UK, and my pricing is basically kind of an average point of the area that I live in, and that would be different for someone who's based you know, in another county. There's kind of different prices for different reasons in other countries. Like I know in the US it's very different in the way that things are priced, and you don't often book combined hair and makeup, you'll book 2 separate artists, whereas over here a lot of the time you'll book one person that can do both, or a team of people doing both for you. So yeah, that's another kind of important aspect. Would you like someone that can do both things for you? Would you like to book people separately, so book separate hair and separate makeup? What are you going to find the most convenient for you on the day? So I have found that the demand where I live, so I also work in London quite a lot, and I've found it's quite similar to where I'm based in kind of Bristol, Bath area. I split my time between the 2 locations, but I do work across the country. So I've found that people tend to want to book both hair and makeup, which makes sense. It is convenient. You get a really good consistency with your look. The hair and makeup is pretty much guaranteed to match and go together if it's being done by one person or by the same team. If you have you know, really large booking, if you have lots of bridesmaids and mums and aunties that want to join you on the day. So yeah, I found that that tends to be the vast majority of my inquiries will be for somebody that wants to book both hair and makeup. And then my final point is, if you're thinking about doing it yourself, very brave, but go for it. If you want to do it yourself, if it's a question of budget, do it yourself rather than book somebody who comes in way under budget but might not be giving you a good service. So yeah, definitely do it yourself. If you just want to get ready by yourself, with your friends, with your family, or alone, then yes, do your own hair and makeup. Just, I would say, have a few practices beforehand and just really nail it. Take pictures every time. You can look back at your photos and think, okay, I've had a few goes at this, what was I happy with? It might be something here from this day, and you know, another time you might have like really nailed doing your lips, and you can take all those bits and use them as reference pictures on the day as well. When I'm doing a trial for a bride, I will take lots of notes and pictures and things. I have a really good memory, but I always want to be sure that I'm using a really good point of reference on the day as well. So practice. Don't just kind of wing it on the day. That way I think madness lies. I think you'll get very stressed out maybe. And yeah, have a point of reference, have some photos to work from, take some notes, make sure you've got all the right products. Can't go wrong. Having a professional on the day massively takes the pressure off though. So I think even if you have a very good idea of what you want and you just want an artist to recreate that for you professionally, you can sit and chill with a glass of fizz or a coffee, have your hair done, have your makeup done, and enjoy. How often do we get to do that? So go for it. So the look I've gone for, hair aside, let's just ignore how crazy my hair is today. I have gone for the look that I am asked for the most. This will vary a little bit. I'm very careful to listen to people's specific preferences. If you really drill down into the way people like to wear their makeup, there are lots of little things dependent on the individual that I will be sure to include or not include if there's things people really, you know, don't want. But just, I would say, a kind of natural glam, like a soft glam look, a nude lip but nothing too pale. I've gone quite heavy on the lashes just because that's my preference, and the lashes that I keep in my own makeup collection tend to be pretty major. So if it was my wedding, like there's more cats, just ignore the background noise. If it was my wedding, I would definitely go for some pretty heavy duty lash extensions, and a lot of my brides do go for lash extensions, so a lot of the makeup looks that I tend to do for brides tend to be quite lash heavy. But I've gone for a bit of winged liner. I get a lot of brides that ask me for a winged liner because they wouldn't do that themselves day to day. It's a nice way to add a bit of something without it being kind of, you know, too much, too heavy. And I've gone for just a really flattering light to dark shadow on the eyes, like a soft fluffy brow, pretty flawless skin. This is generally what brides will ask me to do, give or take. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get stuck into some makeup. Playing with makeup has been so fun for me over the past few weeks, especially when I've been a bit sad, a bit stressed out. Makeup is what I love. It's what I've always wanted to do. It's a job I've wanted since I was about 13 years old, and having it taken away from me overnight has just been so sad. I've never been unemployed before as well. I left school, I think, just before my 18th birthday, and I have had a job ever since then, whether that's been an employed job or for the past 7 years a self-employed job. So it's been nice to get back to doing makeup for fun and doing what I want to do and not kind of doing what my clients want, and just doing makeup with no pressure. Like, normally when I get ready to go out, I'm rushing, so it's been nice just to kind of sit and play with makeup. My cat son has left the room now, so we might get some peace and quiet. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing okay and keeping safe. It is a scary time, so let's sit and play with some makeup and have some fun. And if you've had to postpone or reschedule your wedding, I'm so sorry. Like, I really feel for you. I have been in tears talking to my clients about cancelling their weddings and things, and I just really hope that sorting everything out is going smoothly for you, and that you can hang on and have the wedding that you've dreamed of very soon once this is all over. So as you can probably see, lockdown has not been too kind to my skin or my eyes, but one of the foundations that I use a lot of the time for bridal work is quite a high coverage one, so perfect. It's the Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Foundation. I have the shade F4, so we'll see if that's a good match. I've got a bit of fake tan on at the moment, but nothing major. And I love it for bridal. It is full coverage. It gives you a really good amount of coverage on the skin, but it doesn't seem to be too drying. They do a hydrating version of this as well, which I do also like, but I found it doesn't last that well. So I definitely prefer this one, and if I'm using it on someone with slightly drier skin, I would just prep the skin with lots of moisturiser underneath, just to kind of to stop it sort of drying out the skin too much. But I've found that this isn't as drying as, say, I don't know if anyone's ever worn the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. That a lot of my clients love but complain that it does give them dry patches. This gives you that really nice coverage, but it's just not quite as hardcore. So I found that it's really nice for brides. I'm using quite a generous amount of this, but if someone's got really great skin, one of my favourite things to do is to use something quite full coverage, but just use a really small amount and just buff it out really well on their skin. So just to kind of properly enhance the skin and not sort of cover too much. I think if you've got good skin, there's nothing worse than wearing loads and loads of foundation and kind of hiding all your good work with taking care of your skin really well. So now that I've built up a decent amount of coverage on my skin, I'm going to go in with the matching concealer. Oh, it's the newer version of the Conceal and Define concealer. It's the Conceal and Define Infinite. To be honest, I don't know what the difference is. I've bought the original version of this concealer many times and love it. I always have plenty of these concealers in my kit. This is the newer version. I'll probably carry on buying this from now on. It just honestly seems pretty similar to me. I'm concentrating this around my eyes because I definitely need some brightness around my eyes today. So you can see what a lovely finish that gives to the skin. There's still a little bit of luminosity, a little bit of dewiness, but I would not describe this as a dewy base. I find it quite hard to explain to brides sometimes that you don't want to be too dewy. In pictures, it's very easy for that to come across as like a bit sweaty. There's a very fine line between looking dewy and glowy and fresh and just looking a bit sweaty and shiny. But also, especially if you're kind of on your feet for a lot of the day, and if you're in a big dress, might get a little bit warm, and when the natural oils from your skin come through, that's the kind of dewiness that you have to anticipate. So I'd rather start off with someone slightly more on the matte side, knowing that their skin's going to get a little bit kind of dewier and glowier throughout the day. But yeah, if someone has very oily skin, I'll start them off very matte, just to be on the safe side. That's actually covered my skin pretty well. I'm going to give myself a little top up though. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Concealer, which I also always have in my kit. I love this stuff, and you need just the tiniest little bit. A little goes a long way with this stuff. I'm not a fan of the sponge tip applicator. I think that's kind of gross, but this is just for me, so you know. This is my own personal one, so I'll use the gross little sponge. I'm just covering up, again, just a tiny bit down the contour of my eye socket, and then a little bit just to cover up some blemishes as well on my face. This concealer is very matte, so if your skin's slightly oilier and you do want to mattify certain areas, it's amazing for doing that. So if someone tells me that they get a really shiny T-zone, for example, throughout the day, I'll do their base and then I'll pop a bit of this just over the T-zone to just add a bit of extra mattifying properties in that area. And yeah, just again, I'm looking to provide a really long wearing makeup for a bride. So that is another way, even if it doesn't change the look of the base too much, I know that that's kind of oil proofing their makeup for later in the day. So that's also what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking, does this look good? But also, is this gonna last? So the next step would be powder. Powder is the most important part of creating a long-lasting base. I can't explain how important it is. It just works. It just works. And people get so nervous about powder sometimes, especially brides that I work with that have really dry skin. But actually, if you're clever about the placement, it can still really help you just to get makeup that lasts, to provide some kind of proof against creasing with your makeup. And I always recommend some kind of tinted powder. The translucent ones are all well and good, but if your photographer is using flash photography, you might get that kind of reverse panda eye thing going on. So use a tinted powder, you won't have to worry about that. The one that I always use on brides, because it's so good, is by NYX, and I think it's just called their banana powder. It's a pressed powder, so if anyone wants to buy one to pop in their bag to top up their makeup later, it's really good for that. It's not going to spill everywhere, it's not going to spill on your dress. But I don't have one of those in my makeup bag at the moment, so I'm using this very well loved Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This is a shade 1, but I'm kind of more of a shade 2 when I have some tan on. But I'm just using what I've got, just making the most of what's in my makeup bag already at the moment. Say makeup bag, I have drawers, I have a wardrobe. It's more of a hoarding situation. So because my skin is kind of combination oily, there's no such thing as too much powder, but I would always suggest, if you're doing your own makeup for your wedding, or just your own makeup day to day, always put a bit under your eyes. Just make sure you really blend it in. Don't ever just kind of pat it on and leave it to sit, because that is when you might notice that your makeup looks kind of dry and cakey around your eyes. I would always just using small motions just to kind of really press it in around my eyes. So I'm going to take that same brush now that I've set my base. It's a BH Cosmetics number 2, and I'm going to start bronzing my face. So I like quite a strong cheekbone, and I think, again, another bit of advice that I would give to most brides is go in a little bit stronger with your blusher and your bronzer than you normally would. One of the things I've noticed in a picture, the bronzer I'm using is by Doll Beauty. It's just the shade Light. How cute is that packaging as well? I love anything with hearts on it. Yeah, I found that it can just get a little bit lost in pictures. So I'm always thinking about what's going to look good in the photos. You will never ever have so many pictures taken in one day and you want to look great. So yeah, it's just something I've noticed, is that your cheekbones and your kind of blusher and bronzer in that area can just get a bit washed out in pictures. So always go just a little bit stronger than you think you need to, or that you would day to day. Yeah, nothing crazy, like you don't need to be really piling it on, but just go maybe 20% more than you normally would, and that will just really kind of bring out your facial structure in photos. Gonna add some blusher now. This is kind of, I think this is new-ish. It's the Stay Naked Threesome palette by Decay. The shade is Rise. I think this comes in a few different colours. There's a bronzer in here as well, but I just love this blusher so much. I'm going to use a slightly smaller brush. This is a Morphe M536. And I'm going to use this gorgeous peachy shade. I love a peachy blush. For anybody that, oh, I've got a bit too much here. For anybody that is worried about using blush, I know, again, people either love it or hate it. I absolutely love blush. I think it brings your whole face to life. I'm going to start on my eyes now. Eye primer is so important. If you want your makeup to last and you're not using an eye primer, use an eye primer. You'll instantly notice a difference. Most makeup artists are kind of on the fence with face primers. I would rather someone applied their normal skincare, something that their skin is used to in terms of eye creams, serums, moisturisers, whatever my brides like to use and have been using in the lead up to the wedding, and have that soaked in and settled and kind of, you know, prepping the skin with skincare. If someone has a very specific concern with their skin, so if someone has very oily skin, I might use a primer to provide a barrier against oil. If someone has kind of concerns with pores and open pores, we all have them, but if it really concerns somebody, then I might use one of those kind of silicone-y pore primers. They're quite heavy duty, so I don't really recommend them, but just to use in small areas on your face, they can be a really good idea. But for the eyes, a primer is a must, and I absolutely love the Revolution Pro, don't know how well you can see that, but it's the Eye Elements primer. This is the shade Core, which is a good match for my skin tone. Provides a little bit of coverage on the eyelid as well. But I know they do a bunch of different shades, so there will be something for your skin tone, for the eye look that you're doing. They are really good, and again, very affordable. While my eye primer soaks in, I am going to do my brows, and I absolutely love using powders for brows. I think for brides, it gives you just a really nice kind of fluffy looking brow. Really soft but still really defined. There's nothing harsh about it, photographs nicely, lasts really well. I think you can't go wrong with using powders as the base for your brows, even if you then go in and define them a bit further with a gel or with a wax or something like that. At the moment I have this Browzings Pro palette from Benefit. I think this is a Benefit brush as well, but I can't see any branding on here. But I don't know again how well you can see, it's just a really fine angle brush. And there's a little spoolie on the other end. Every brand does a brush like this, and I have so many of them because they're so useful. In my kit I have like 10 of these little angle brushes because I use them for everything. So I'm following the natural arch of my brow. My brows are so unimpressive. I have really fair hair naturally, and I've just never been blessed with decent brows. My brows are very sparse, they are pathetic. I do honestly feel that brows make all the difference to a makeup. I think they're so central to you making your facial expressions as well. I just think it's so important to get it right. Making a start on my eyes, this is my favourite thing to do on other people. I love to do people's eyes. I love all the different eye looks for bridal makeup. I love all the really natural eyes. I love really heavy, really glam. I'm going to go somewhere in between because this is what most people ask me for. I've got this adorable little palette from Fenty. It's two, but they kind of clip together. So I bought this for a trip I was going to be going on, which due to Corona, I'm now not going on, so let's use it today. I've had this for ages and I've used it a few times. It's so nice. They did an awesome job with their eyeshadows, and look at that for a bridal colour palette. I know warm tones have been trendy for a long time now. I don't see that changing. I'm using a nice big fluffy brush by BH Cosmetics. It's a number 6 brush. And I'm going to go in with this kind of peachy apricot-y shade just here. And I'm going to go through the crease of my eyes. So I'm going to start just here and go kind of back and forth. Charlotte Tilbury, when you see her on Instagram, when you see her teaching, she calls it, I think it's her, she calls it a windscreen wiper motion, and that's pretty accurate. You're going back and forth, and just getting a bit of colour down through the crease of your eyes. And for brides, like 9 times out of 10, I always do a light to dark on the eyes. So kind of starting darker just here and getting lighter and lighter, and then doing a real pop of highlight in the inner corner. I just found it works for pictures. It looks really nice in person as well. I've zoomed in just a bit closer now, so I'm still just blending out this peachy shade just through the crease of my eyes. I always take my eye makeup up quite far. I have a lot of space from the crease of my eye to my brow, so I feel like it just really suits me to make use of that space and just take my blending up quite high. This is not what I would do for everybody. It's, I think, why I love to do eyes so much, because things just suit different eye shapes, and you could do something kind of exactly how you're taught with a certain eye shape and it might not look quite right. I think I like the process of figuring that out and figuring out what suits different people. I'm going to start just deepening that using this middle shade just here. It's another kind of peachy, orangey brown colour. So yeah, I think I love the process of figuring out what's going to work for different eyes so much. I think it's one of the things that really interests me and keeps my job interesting. Using the same brush, I'm just going to keep blending. I like bridal looks to be very soft and very blended, so even if someone wants kind of more vibrant colours or more smoky colours, I think if they're very kind of blown out and soft and pretty, it just really works, and it makes it different from, say, your night out makeup, which is a bit more dramatic and, you know, a bit more kind of, there's a bit more contrast in the makeup. I'm going to take a slightly more dense brush. You can see it's a bit smaller as well. It's a Real Techniques shading brush, and I'm going to take this kind of deeper peachy orange colour and put that just underneath my eyes. I think it's so important for bridal makeup to have something underneath your eyes, even if you don't want much. Again, it's a place that in pictures tends to get a bit lost, so just that lower lash line I found sometimes just looks really washed out in photos, and this is me being very picky. Some people just might not notice, but just from all the wedding pictures I've seen, all the shoots that I've worked on, styled bridal shoots, it just makes the eyes pop a little bit more. There isn't really a suitable highlight shade in that Fenty palette for me, so I'm going to use my Jaclyn Cosmetics palette. This is called the Flash, and I love it. I'm going to use this golden sort of tone and just use that to add a real pop of colour to my inner corners. A nice bright highlight in the inner corner is so pretty for brides. I'm going to go off camera now and add a very fine liner with a wing, and then I'll come back. I'm back. I've done just a really fine winged liner with my favourite Too Faced eyeliner pen. I'll link that below. I use gel liner most of the time for clients because it's more hygienic, lasts really well, but just for quickness, I always use a liquid liner on myself. My favourite ever gel liner, which I've been buying for years and years, is the Illamasqua one. It's incredible. Never dries out. I always finish the whole pot without any kind of left in the bottom because it's dried out and gone all nasty. I just think it's brilliant. It's so black, it's so dark, it's just amazing. So I'll link that one below as well. I use that on every bride that I do a winged liner for, or even like a smudged out kind of smoky liner. It's just so good. One of my top tips is not to put too much mascara underneath. If you're going to get some smudging, if there's going to be any tears, which I hope there would be at a wedding, I always cry at weddings, yeah, there's less to fall. If you do have a few tears, get a bit emotional, there's less to smudge. If you are really worried about smudging, I would say even skip mascara underneath. Just use a bit of shadow and a tiny bit of liner, something long wearing underneath, and then maybe skip bottom lash mascara entirely. I just think that's better than having it streaming down your face. So yeah, that's my top tip for, again, just protecting against any kind of emotional moments that might happen. My other top tip is to try lash extensions. Try them in advance of your wedding. You don't want to get them done a week before and find out that they're just not for you for whatever reason, or you're sensitive to the glue or something like that happen. With false lashes, they tend to be really good, but you could be unlucky and have them start to wobble after an hour. There's just no guarantee. The glue is not designed to be on for hours and hours and hours at a time. So I always tell brides, if you like lots of lashes with your makeup, try extensions. If you don't get on with them, you don't get on with them, but you might find that they are just the perfect solution. So I'm gonna use a lip combo that I have stolen from somebody else. This was the combination that Jamie Genevieve, who I'm sure you all watch already, if you don't, I'll link her channel below as well. She's just my favourite person to watch on YouTube. She used to be a makeup artist, so I feel like she gives the best makeup tips. She knows what really works. And on her wedding day, which wasn't long ago, she wore this little Charlotte Tilbury combination, and I already had the lipstick, but I had to go out and get the lip liner, and I've been loving it. And I've got one in my kit, and a few of my brides that had trials right before lockdown would have tested out this little combo, so thank you, Jamie. Starting off with the Charlotte Tilbury Hot Gossip pencil. Mine needs a good sharpen, but never mind. I wouldn't even call it a nude because there's nothing kind of pale about this. It's a very natural colour, but it still gives you some definition. I use the infamous Pillow Talk pencil on a lot of brides, but if I want something a bit less pink, this is perfect. It's not brown though. I also really like the iconic Nude liner by Charlotte Tilbury, but that comes off very, very brown. That's like, if anyone is into MAC or was into MAC back in the day like I was, it's kind of similar to Strip Down pencil, whereas this it's kind of similar to Spice pencil in that it's got a bit of brown and a bit of kind of pink and some slightly rosy tones. It's just a really nice balanced colour. So now that I look crazy, it's time to add some lipstick. It's the colour Bitch Perfect. Best name for a lipstick ever, I think. Well done, Charlotte Tilbury. I am obsessed. Since Jamie recommended this in her wedding makeup video, I've worn this so much. Use this combination on so many clients. It looks really pretty with a gloss over the top, but I found most of my clients don't want a gloss, which is completely fair enough. And I found that this lipstick is kind of shiny. It's like a kind of satiny finish, so you do have a bit of shine to your lips anyway. I'm gonna finish off just with a little bit of highlighter from my Jaclyn Cosmetics palette. I'm gonna use a combination of the two lightest shades and just use the tiniest little bit. Again, if you've got oily skin or combination skin, powder highlight is your best friend. And there we go. That is my bridal makeup. Not that I'm getting married. I live alone. I'm currently quarantined, so I'm not even going anywhere. But this is helping with how much I miss work right now. I would call this glam, but not night out glam. So like a natural glam, which is mostly what brides ask me for. I do get a lot of requests for vintage looks for weddings, which I absolutely love. I love vintage so much. Anything vintage makeup, vintage hair is just my favourite. So maybe that's what I'll do next actually. If you'd like to see a vintage bridal tutorial, let me know. And I get asked a lot for very, very natural makeup, which I'm also happy to film as well. So if you'd like to see that, drop me a comment below. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're not struggling too much in this weird situation. Leave me a comment below so we can chat in the comments, because I will be reading and replying as usual. Please give me something to do, I'm so bored. See you next time. Thanks for watching, bye!